I'm talking to Reece Pyrtle, North Carolina House of Representatives, District 65. Reece, good to have you in the studios. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mike. I hope you are.
Doing fine indeed. Good to talk to you here as we're getting into the last couple of weeks of the campaign. You're running for re-election. Kind of give us a background, Reece. A lot of people know who you are, Reece Pyrtle, former police chief in Eden. They see you out and about at a lot of things, but for those that don't know, and so they'll be a little more informed when they vote, who is Reece Pyrtle?
Well, thank you, Mike, and it is a pleasure to be here with you today. Yeah, I'm a product of Rockingham County, born and raised in the Eden area. I was actually born in Reedsville at Annie Penn Hospital, but I've lived in Eden most of my whole life. I graduated from Moorhead High School. I went up to Appalachian State University and got a degree, and I moved back here to Rockingham County, and I went to work for the police department in Eden in 1990, and I held a variety of jobs and kind of worked hard and worked my way up the ladder, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And in 2009, I was appointed the police chief, and I held that position until my retirement on January the 1st of 2018. Politics was something I was always interested in. My dad was very much interested in politics, so I think that's where my interest come from. But by last year as a police chief, I knew I was going to retire, and I was approached by members of the community and asked me to run for county commissioner. And so in 2016, I started my venture down the political pathway, so to speak, and I ran for county commissioner and was successful in that election. I was one of 5 at-large county commissioners in Rockingham County, and it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve the people of Rockingham County. And I served in that capacity, was reelected in 2020, and then in 2021, unfortunately, our representative, Dr. Jerry Carter, passed away. And I was approached by the Republican Party to fill his unexpired term. And I took office in August the 21st. August the 12th, I think it was, I took office. And I served in that capacity, and I still serve today. I'm married. My wife is an educator for 32 years. I think she's really enjoyed her time. She works for the school system. Taught second grade, and now she's probably the last 20 years or so, she's been over the English as a second language program with the county high school. We have one daughter, and she is a freshman at Appalachian State. My wife graduated there. I graduated there, but there was no pressure for her to go to Appalachian State. But I think she has shown interest in getting into education too, and so I think that is the pathway that she will end up pursuing. And I couldn't be more supportive. Mm-hmm. North Carolina has a great university system, and I'm just happy that she's part of the North Carolina university system. We are very fortunate in this state to have the university system that we do have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's important to know your background in law enforcement, your time with the county commissioners, the board, and now your time in Raleigh. What have you learned in Raleigh in your couple of years there now?
Well, Mike, I think my perspective when I went down there was a little bit different than some of the others. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, I worked for a municipality for, 30 years. I mean, I saved my sick time and I got out a little bit early, but I have 30 years service with the municipality. And then if you look, the next journey, a part of my journey was as a county commissioner. So I have the experience working with the city. I have experience working in the county. And so from those two experiences, I understand what it's like when a decision is made at the state level or the federal level, how it impacts you locally. Mm-hmm. And so every time I'm up there and a bill comes or a decision has to be made, before I push that red button or that green button, I think how that's going to impact my community, my constituents, my family back in Rockingham County, so to speak. And I think about that. And I consider that. I mean, because I want to work hard for all of Rockingham County, not just one area. But I've said since I was a county commissioner, a win for anywhere in Rockingham County is a win for everywhere in Rockingham County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're exactly right on that. Rockingham County, we all benefit from some of the grants and some of the monies that you have brought back home. I hear that when I go to these meetings, town board meetings, and maybe you can kind of give us some of the highlights of that, because you've helped in a lot of projects.
Well, in the biennial budget, I got there in August, and they was already in the latter stages of the budgets. But one of the things I did was I worked with Senator Berger, and I reached out to the different municipalities and found what their unfunded needs were. And, from good budgeting and some federal programs, was able to bring over the last year and a half, since I've been in Raleigh, over $67 million back to Rockingham County for some much needed projects that and about every municipality got something to fulfill a need that they had. Mm-hmm. But, that all goes back to when I was a police chief and a county commissioner. One of the things that was very important to me was developing relationships throughout the community. As a police chief, I worked hard so that, that relationship with the other law enforcement agencies in the county, to foster that relationship, because I knew that there was going to be a point in time where we're a rural county. We have limited resources. I was going to have to make an ask of another agency in the county. And I knew that at some point in time I was going to be asked for some of my resources. And if that relationship is in place early on, it makes that ask a whole lot easier, and it makes that response a whole lot easier. So I took that same type of mentality with me when I got elected to the Board of Commissioners. One of the first things I did when I became chair was find a topic that affected the whole county, and let's get together and talk about it. And I asked the manager, I said, let's find a topic, and we did, and we got all the elected officials in the county to sit down and have conversation. Now, the topic we were talking about was important. It was an important topic, but it's also the byproduct of that was it fostered some relationships. We put some names with some faces, and the networking that took place was so valuable. And so when I go down to Raleigh, I look at the same type of that same scenario. I'm sitting there talking with folks from all over the state of North Carolina about some challenges they have, and challenges. If you approach them with the right mental set, the right mental, or let's put it this way: if you approach them with the right attitude, challenges can be opportunities. Mm-hmm. And so, I've worked with people down in Raleigh to address some of the issues in Rockingham County and in their communities, and it's been a pleasure. It's a learning curve, but I've embraced that learning curve.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges on the state level that you face?
Well, one of the things that from Murphy to Manteo, anywhere you go in the state, is workforce development, getting people back to work, and that's not just unique to Rockingham County. We have a RCC is doing a workforce development center, and we have a quarter-cent sales tax geared towards workforce development at our community college. And our community college is, that is a hidden gem in Rockingham County. And, it needed a little facelift. It needed a little TLC, and I think it's getting it. I know they're working hard over there. Dr. Kinlaw is doing an amazing job. But, now connecting the school system, the countywide schools, the school systems, the Rockingham County schools, and the private schools with RCC in a workforce development, and it just creates an opportunity for young folks who may not otherwise go to college, find a trade or a skill set that's valuable and allows them to enter the workforce that much faster. And so that's a good thing. But that's something that's not just unique to Rockingham County; it's all over the state.
Mm-hmm. As you're out and about on the campaign trail, Reece, what are some of the things you're hearing from residents of the county? What do they tell you? What do they want to happen?
I think a lot of them just want to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Just want to know what's going on. One of the things that I tried to do when I got to Raleigh was I created a newsletter. And I've put you can go to reecefornc.com and you can sign up for my newsletter. And it creates an opportunity for folks to know what's going on in Raleigh and how it impacts them at their district, back in this district. A lot of folks don't know. They just want to know. They just want to be informed. And I appreciate that. I mean, and I recognize that. And I'm trying to work hard to ensure that, and I love to have people sign up. Sign up for your email. You're going to get a monthly newsletter and to what's going on down in Raleigh.
If you had to maybe choose the top 3 issues that you're tackling in Raleigh and the General Assembly, what would they be?
Well, I think one of the things, the top 3 to me, one of the most important things is we've got to address our issue with opioids across the state. I know when I was a county commissioner, I sat on a committee from members from across the state. There was 5 county commissioners from across the state, 5 county managers, and 5 county attorneys, and we worked together collaboratively to try to address a funding model and strategies to address opioid addiction. We did this because we knew that this pharmaceutical settlement was coming down the pipeline, and we wanted to have all our ducks in a row to ensure that we was at the top of the list when the money started coming out, that we could, and what we come up with, I'm very proud of. It's been a model that's been used by other states. Matter of fact, we was recognized nationally at the National Association of County Commissioners for what we did, and it was worked. It was a joint effort through the North Carolina County Commissioners Association that got everybody together, and it was a bipartisan group. I couldn't tell you there was 5 of us on there, and I could not tell you what the party affiliation of anybody in that group working, because the issue was bigger than any one person, and that's what we need to look at. There's some other issues that's going on in Raleigh that we're talking about Medicaid expansion and where that's going to go, and I'm excited about the discussions. I think we need to move cautiously. I know the Senate passed a bill and it's come over to the House, but I think that our speaker is right on point when he talks about making sure there's some guardrails up before we just pass it as it is. Let's look and see what needs to be addressed. I know one of the things is there's an innovative waiver that through Medicaid for folks that have intellectual and developmental disabilities, and there's a wait list for that. It's make sure that we fix everything within Medicaid before we just expand it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to add quite a number of folks to Medicaid, about 600,000, and that's a lot. And we have issues with general practitioners now finding family physicians. How are we going to address that? There's some things to consider, but I'm very willing to sit at the table and have a discussion. And at the end of the day, we want to do what's best for the people of North Carolina.
Well, it sounds like your communication skills and the working together is important in what you do.
It is. I think that's where it all starts, is with relationships. It's about being able to have a discussion, whether you agree or disagree. Have that discussion. There's plenty of bills that I may not support, but I still want them to be the best bill they can be. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I'm going to ask the question. I'm just not going to say I don't support that and turn my head and walk away from the table. I want to sit there and I want to ask the question, because I still want it to be the best bill it can be if it does pass.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Well, Reece, our time is up. Thank you.
Man, that was a quick 15 minutes.
It was, wasn't it? We'll take another 15 or 20 seconds maybe to wrap up if you need it.
No, I just want to thank you for having me, reminding the fine folks out there listening that I'm working hard for you. I want to continue to work hard for you. Remember me on Election Day. I'd appreciate your support. November 8th is right around the corner. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm telling you to look back at what I have done and what I'm going to continue to do. Okay.
Thank you, Reece, for being here. Reece Pyrtle in our studio. He is representing us here in Rockingham County, North Carolina House of Representatives, District 65. He is up for re-election. This program has been paid for by Reece Pyrtle for NC House.